Good morning, seniors, or I suspect more likely good afternoon, seniors. I am sitting in my classroom on Tuesday morning. It is empty. The chairs are on the desks. And I got to be honest, it's a bit lonely. I miss you guys. I suppose it's going to be a bit strange for all of us trying to do online school. And I most certainly lament that it at least seems possible that y'all are going to miss the last 2 months of your senior year. So that is sad, but I hope at some point over the next few weeks we'll get to reflect on how that particular sadness fits in with God's sovereignty and God's design for the world. So it's a bummer that you're at home and I'm in an empty classroom, but nevertheless, we are going to do the best that we can. I'm assuming, since you're listening to this, that you have found the YouTube video. This particular video is for March 26th and 27th. And what I want to do simply this week is not to do any instruction, but just to give you some basic nuts and bolts of how senior Bible class is going to happen over the next month, maybe two. So first, what on earth are we going to do senior Bible online? One of my fears is that there's going to be mass chaos and especially for you all, difficulty in trying to manage 5 or 6 different classes, different sets of information, different digital platforms, teacher expectations. So my goal is that every Monday morning you'll get an email from me outlining plans for the week. And each video for the week will also begin with this particular page outlining the announcements and plans for the week. That being said, if your email is not in RenWeb, your particularly personal student email is not in RenWeb, then I'm thinking that we're all going to have a problem communicating with you, not just me, but all of your teachers. So you need to make sure that your email is in RenWeb. I think you can either send that to NATO. I think he's probably the best one. But my goal is to communicate with you via email and for you to get assignments back to me via email as well. NATO suggested, for the sake of everyone's sanity and because of the massive learning curve, that I take whatever I was going to do for the rest of this quarter and cut it in half. So basically what we're going to do for the fourth quarter is engage with a book written by John Piper called Don't Waste Your Life. You should have already gotten an email from me. I sent it to both you and your parents, and you were supposed to come pick up a copy of the book, which is sitting on a table outside my door. There are 8 of them on Tuesday morning still sitting there, which means about half of you have a book. We'll be working with this. You'll be reading it, and essentially the videos for the week will involve some talking points from the book and kind of engaging, perhaps expounding and expanding some of the material in the book, zeroing in on some of the Bible passages that John Piper focuses on. And my vision for you is that in reading this book, you will get to think critically about the rest of your life and what it will look like to sort of do what you've been hoping and waiting that you'll get to do after you leave high school is, quote, finally get to start real life. What will that real life look like? Is there a good version of that real life? Is there a bad version of that real life? That's what this book will invite you to engage with, and I'm going to kind of bounce off of it in our videos for this quarter. You will be reading 1 or 2 chapters per week from that book, and each Monday morning you will get to see what those chapters are. So your first task will be to read the material for the week, and then secondly, you will answer a question, one reflection question for each chapter, and email those back to me by the due date that is attached to them. They'll roughly be somewhere around a long paragraph, a half a page kind of thing, and they will generally involve you trying to take the material in each chapter and reflect on your own personal life using that content. So, first thing you'll do is read. Second thing you'll do is answer a reflection question. And the third thing you'll do is watch a YouTube video that I will have recorded once or twice a week, one on Monday and Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday that is, and one on Wednesday/Thursday. So my goal is to give you 2 roughly 30-minute videos a week. One of them you'll watch on Monday or Tuesday, and the other one you'll watch on Wednesday or Thursday. Friday, you can call it a day off. There'll be one other major assignment you could work on that day, trying to allow for a major learning curve. That being said, I intend to give you one video next week. We will see how that goes. You can find, obviously you have found this already if you're watching this video, but they will all get posted to my newly formulated YouTube channel. And you'll have to make sure you get the one labeled Senior Bible because, of course, I'll be posting for my other classes as well. The way that you will affirm your participation in those YouTube videos is through a 2 to 3 sentence comment affirming that you did in fact watch the video and offering a brief comment on how the content in the video interacts with your life in some way. So you'll say something like, this is Mr. Sly. I did in fact watch this video and it helped me to think through the long game vision of my life. I discovered that perhaps I had only been thinking of my job and my family and what kind of money I need to make to support myself, rather than thinking critically about the vision and purpose of my life. Something like that. 2 to 3 sentences, basic, in the comments section. Make sure to leave your name just in case you don't have an actual YouTube registered account or your username is not your name itself. I need to be able to know who's leaving the comment so that I can give you a grade. We're supposed to be taking attendance each week, and so there will be 2 places where I track your engagement. One will be the email that you give to me with your assignment or assignments, and the other will be the comment that you leave in that section. If the video is to be watched on a particular set of days, then your attendance for those days will be based upon the fact that you did watch that video on either Monday and Tuesday or Wednesday and Thursday. There will be one larger writing assignment. This will kind of act like a test. It is not a test. It is going to be a paper, but that will be due at the end of the quarter, and I will be posting that next week with a prompt and some basic guidelines in writing that paper. It will generally involve you writing some kind of reflective vision for your life over the next 50, 60, 70 years. Our main form of communication will be email. Email me whenever you have any questions. Don't hesitate to. I intend to stay near my email Monday to Friday, 8 to 3 over the coming weeks. Kyle.sly@redeemerlions.com. For this particular week, if you want to call it that, March 26th and 27th, you're going to do two simple things to get started slowly. So your assignment, and let me say kind of at the outset, the basic way to think through what is expected of you in Senior Bible is each week something to read, something to write, and something to watch. And then at the end of the quarter, there will be something slightly larger to write. But for now, something to read, something to write, and something to watch. Your reading and writing this week will be two basic things. In the next 3 or 4 days, you need to read the preface to Don't Waste Your Life, as well as chapter 1. The preface, I think, is all of about 2 or 3 pages long, so that should not be too oppressive. It's a fairly readable book. It's somewhat autobiographical, mixed with theological insight. So this week, March 26th and 27th, you need to read the preface and chapter 1. And then you need to write me 2 different paragraphs, 2 different but related paragraphs. In my world, a paragraph is 5 to 7 sentence engagement with this material. So write 2 different but related paragraphs, both in your own words, yet also reflecting on some of the ideas in chapter 1. Those 2 paragraphs are going to be in the form of completing the following thoughts using 1 paragraph for each. The first thought that you need to complete is, a wasted life would be blank. So write a paragraph filling in that blank. And secondly, an unwasted life would be blank. Write a paragraph filling in that thought. The big idea here is to critically reflect on the next 50, 60, 70 years of your life and imagine 2 different potential roads ahead. Piper engages with this concept a little bit. What a wasted life would be and an unwasted life would be. And I want you to kind of bounce off of what he says, but mostly I want your own honest, vulnerable, critical thoughts about your own life to be lived ahead of you. You can say things like, a wasted life would be an early retirement. A wasted life would be such and such. Sketch a vision for a life to be lived that at the end of it, a person might look back on it and realize, oh my goodness, I've wasted my life. I didn't realize I was doing so, but I did. Describe that using this sort of frame, a wasted life would be, and then do the same thing for the concept of an unwasted life. If you imagine either looking forward from now or looking backward 50 or 60 years from now, fill in the blank with some imagery, some creativity, some thoughtfulness. An unwasted life would be this. Sketch a vision for it. That will be due, because it's a few days here at the end of the week, that's going to be due to me on Monday, March 30th by 3 p.m. So if you want to spill that into the weekend, you're welcome to, though I certainly would invite you to rest from your ordinary work on the Sabbath day. That assignment, both the reading and the 2 paragraphs of writing, are due by 3 p.m. on Monday. You can email that to me in a Word document or a Pages document, kyle.sly@redeemerlions.com. Lastly, I want to leave you with something that has struck my heart in the last week or so. If you'll recall, last time we had chapel, Michael Rawls gave us this quote. It's from Derek Kidner from his commentary on Psalm 107, and it has rattled my soul pretty good. I don't know how many of you have just been enjoying spring break, or if you've been anticipating this many weeks of online school. Perhaps you're really excited. Maybe it's feeling like hurricane days to you. Perhaps you're a little bit scared by all of the apprehension and concern that you may see in your parents or your friends or at the grocery store or on the news. Who knows how you're feeling? But to offer you something that has been on my mind and heart, here's a quote from Derek Kidner, who has now gone on to be with the Lord, but his words are appropriate for the time. The hurricane, insert virus, the hurricane/virus shakes us into seeing that in a world of gigantic forces, we live by permission, not by good management. I've kind of felt like the story. How about that? I've been here so long, the lights have turned off. The story of of course, I'm just realizing that you can't see that because, well, I'm not actually recording my face. Nevertheless, back to the point. This time makes me feel a little bit like the Tower of Babel story, where all the peoples of the earth assembled themselves to make something great as a monument to their own glory, endeavoring to live a secure and prosperous life on their own. And God simply scattered them, and he ruined their efforts, their global efforts at autonomy, the self-directed and self-manufactured life was put to death by God. And I feel somewhat of the same right now, and I see our world grappling with it's kind of having the legs cut out from under it in this massively global world and economy that we live in. A simple, serious illness seems to have had the potential to bring our entire world to a screeching halt. And I invite you to reflect on how sweetly, intensely, that reminds us of the great and wondrous and comprehensive sovereignty of God, that we live simply by permission, not by good management. It is so easy for us to think that we are like monarchs of our own lives, absolutely in control. And yet I feel ever increasingly out of control of my own life. And that whereas I may have thought that I was in control of my own life for the last 33 years, in fact, I was only ever living by permission. And God has the power to do what he will with my life. And so I find myself feeling very small and little today, and learning to live in my Heavenly Father's hands a bit more these days. Perhaps that's the same for you. So my little bit for the day in this kind of an introduction to the next 8 weeks. You and I, in such a world of gigantic forces, we live by permission, not by our own good management. So to affirm that you have in fact watched this video, leave a comment at the end in the comment section with 2 or 3 sentences telling the rest of us one thing that you have learned about yourself in the last 10 days, 2 weeks, and as you reflect on the next month or two. What's something you've learned about yourself? It could be very serious or it could be very silly. I've realized I'm out of control of my life, or I'm realizing that my snacking habits being at home all day are terrible. I don't care what it is. Leave us a comment. Something that you've learned about yourself in the last week or two, and as you anticipate the coming weeks. That is the end of Call It Lecture 1, March 26th and 27th for Senior Bible. Love you guys.